We are here today at the Pampers Sleep Academy. So to talk to mum events all about your sleep related questions that you've been sending in on Facebook and Twitter, I'm here with the fabulous Dr. Lucy Wiggs, who is a sleep expert from the Oxford Brookes University back in the UK, and she's been teaching us today how to help our children in their sleep routines, giving us advice when they wake up, how to settle them down to sleep with routines. We've had an insight into the new dry night nappies from Pampers too. But I do have some questions that I want to ask Dr. Lucy. So if you don't mind, Dr. Lucy, I've got some questions for you. From the lovely ladies at Mum Event. So via Twitter, Kirsty wanted to know how she could help her son, who's 7 months old, and he likes to wake up basically every hour and a half at night. As you can imagine, it's driving her a bit crazy. So have you got any advice for Kirsty?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first thing to say, if he's waking up in a regular way like that, about every sort of hour and a half, the chances are that actually what those wakes are just a normal arousal which we would all have at the end of each sort of sleep cycle. So about every sort of hour and a half we tend to wake up anyway. Our brains do. Usually we resume sleep without even knowing we've woken up, but of course for babies, or indeed for adults, if anything's not quite right at that time, you know, they're hungry or they're cold or they've got wet nappies, those are the times that they're going to wake up more fully. So I think she should be reassured that the waking is probably quite normal. But obviously the problem is, how do you get the baby back to sleep? Because what you want is the baby to be able to fall back to sleep without any intervention. It sounds like Kirsty's having to go in and intervene every time he wakes up. So probably what I would suggest is looking at what her baby's doing and what she's doing when he wakes up. So and a good starting point is often to look at how the baby's settled to sleep in the evening. Ideally you want a baby who can settle to sleep in the same set of circumstances and situation that they're going to find,
as it would the night before,
as they find themselves in when they wake in the night. You know, if you fall asleep always being cuddled by mum with a bottle of milk, when
that's how you fall asleep.
Exactly, and when you wake up in the middle of the night, if mum's not there and the bottle of milk's not there, well, you're going to call for it because that's what you used to fall asleep. So that's something to look at. How does the baby fall asleep? Usually that in itself, you can teach the baby to actually settle without any intervention, so they can self-soothe. That in itself will probably resolve the night wakings. If not, you maybe need to look more closely at what she's having to do at the moment during the night, you know, trying to reduce the amount of input gradually if it suits her better and she feels more comfortable with that.
And it's quite difficult for parents because sleep training, if I may call it that, doesn't occur overnight. So you have the best intentions at 8 PM and at 2:30 in the morning, you know, what you've been trying to do and you're on the right track, it can, we're all human, it can go out the window. So it's just bearing down and getting on with it.
Yeah,
really?
And I mean that's why I think often sticking
to our guns, basically,
which is very difficult in the middle of the night when you're tired and exhausted, which is where having support and perhaps, you know, if you've got a partner, perhaps sharing that role with the partner can make it much easier. And it is another reason why looking at settling to sleep and trying to address the issues there is much easier than trying to deal with it in the middle of the night, but often has a knock-on effect on what's going on in the night, because you're not quite as tired when you're settling the baby at 7 o'clock than you are at 2 in the morning when you're dealing with it.
And quite actually, that's quite a common thread through quite a few of the questions on Facebook. In particular, settling down to routine, you know, a particular lady saying, my children don't sleep before 12 at night, it's driving me crazy. Well, of course it is. My children don't sleep very early either, so I know firsthand how annoying it is that they're not settling down. That's not the child though. If we say that the children will do what we teach it to do, then it's our problem, not the child, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's, I mean, again, sticking to your guns for a routine.
I think there's probably, you know, you have to keep in mind that sleep is, there are sort of physiological aspects to it, and there's individual differences. So some children will come out and find it very easy to fall asleep, and others will find it much more difficult and will need more help. You know, and there's obviously an element of where they're sleeping and the environment, and there's the issue of how parents are handling and dealing with your child. So all these things interact. So, you know, parenting is one of those issues, but it often is a